Disclaimer, the following video discusses topics relating to death as well as showing poorly drawn blood. If you have an aversion to either of these things, I would not recommend watching. Also, all the songs used are going to be in the description. So when time began, there was this only one thing in existence, and its name was the Maker. And eventually the Maker made something else. This being was really tender, compassionate, and wished for more beings to exist, since the world just had no life in it. So the Maker decided that it would be cool to have the being have the ability to create life. So now the being was known as Life, and Life quickly began to create plants, animals, and dragons. Everything was okay at first, but then the world started getting overpopulated and there wasn't resources or anything. But Life just kept creating more and more things, and nothing was there to balance all the stuff out. So eventually everyone was just hungry and everything was overcrowded. So the Maker decided to create an opposite to Life. The Maker made a second being, and this one was made to keep stuff in balance. And this being had the ability to end lives. This being was known as Death. Hey guys, I'm talking about life and death today. I was hoping to talk about some of my dragon characters eventually, but I randomly created life and death, really randomly, and came up with the lore from there. They're actually pretty minor characters in this story, and I imagine if they were if this story was a show, they'd probably only be in 5 episodes. So death is basically responsible for every time someone dies. And, life is responsible for every life created. But yeah, I'm gonna be doing a lore dump today on them, so, I thought it'd be fun to do that. I'm gonna be talking about death more since, death, has more, lore to it in my head. And then I'll be talking about life after. So yeah. Death is what you call a silly, a scrungly, if you will. And death's pronouns are they, them, and its. So I decided it'd be cool to have a character with actual pictures of eyes instead of drawing them, because I think that's one of the creepiest things you can do in a drawing. The Walton Files is awesome, go watch it. So yeah, I just stole this image from Google Images to make the eyes. I also thought it would be really cool to give Death some scars that hint at the fact that they've gotten into lots of fights. Basically, the way Death kills people is that they just appear, and once you see Death, there's no way of dying. You'll die in the next 3 days at most, but most of the time it'll be that night or something. But sometimes people have gotten into fights trying not to die. They're they'll just attack Death. Most of the time the attacks are too weak to do anything, but if you get some dragon or something who's super strong, they probably will be able to damage Death, but it won't actually, Death doesn't feel pain, so it's just a slight annoyance, and you might buy yourself a couple days while Death figures out what to do next, but you're not getting away, you're just delaying it, You would think since Death is some big immortal thing, they'd be able to get healed and stuff, but by life or something. But actually, since Death is just the antithesis of life, it cannot ever be healed, but its injuries don't actually cause it damage either. So if it gets that hole in its chest, yeah, it's just kind of there. It doesn't actually feel pain from it. It can't the injury can't get infected or anything. It's just there. Also, before I fully move on to life, I'm gonna just say, Death and Life, you might think, oh, they're rivals or something, since they literally do the opposite thing, but both of them, they respect the Maker. The Maker's kind of like their parent, so they're kind of like siblings. They respect each other, and they know each of them are doing something that's just necessary for the world. Because when Life was the only one around, basically everyone was getting overcrowded and they all had miserable lives. Yeah, they didn't die, but they also had horrible lifespans and lifetimes. So yeah, once Death showed up, yeah, it sucks that you have to deal with grief and watching people die, but Also, like, your life is gonna be better for it in the long term. Also, finally, I imagine, like, death would be, like, pretty quiet. Like, they would talk, but it'd be in, like, a really long, like, drawn-out way. And also, they probably would just try to stay quiet most of the time, since they don't want to, like... They might seem happy, they don't really take glee in killing people, but they also know, like, no one is supposed to live forever, so they have to kill people. So now I think we can finally move on to life. Now we got life. Life was actually made like before death. I mentioned that earlier. But yeah, life basically overpopulated the world, and with like, you know, like all the plants like were overgrowing and basically just choking themselves out, which ended up like inadvertently killing the plants. And there was too many like dragons, you know, so the world was just way too overcrowded and no one ever had any food and everything sucked. So that's why, you know, death was created. But since life is literally life, they can't kill anybody. Like, even if you like really pissed off life and life wanted to kill someone, which is very hard to do, life is very chill. Yeah, if life somehow got pissed off, that wouldn't like do anything. Life literally is incapable of directly killing someone. So, because they're the antithesis to death. They're completely mute, so if like, you know, anyone asks like life a question, they just literally can't answer. And also, I don't know if you noticed, but they don't have hands, so it's not like they could write down an answer either. Life just, you know, is kind of mysterious, like, but yeah, there's like this little eye on life's chest that shows their true emotions. Most of the time it's pretty sad, because while they know that death is necessary, they know like, oh, the world would get overpopulated again if death wasn't around. They also know that, like, well, they don't like the fact that people have to die. So they're always kind of sad, because they know, like, well, when I create things, it'll get killed in, like, I don't know, 100 years or something. But, you know, they know they can't do anything about it, and all they can do is just keep creating. They like, hate seeing people get harmed and stuff, but they still have a bit of a respect for death, because, you know, like I mentioned earlier, they're basically siblings. You know, they care for each other, they got the same parent, you know, the maker is like, they're doing what they gotta do. So that's most of the lore for life, so I'm gonna mostly just talk about their design now. So life's design, I got inspiration from the Hero Chow in Sonic Adventure 2, because it's a really great design, and I think it's so overrated. People always hate the Hero Chow design, like, not the normal Hero Chow, but like the Chaos Hero Chow, because but I think it's a really pretty design. I have like a huge collection of them. I know it takes a ridiculous amount of time to get a Chaos Chow. Anyway, I'm rambling. But yeah, so life's design is kind of based off of that, and also this weird like Fakemon I made a long time ago, like I think 4 years ago at this point, and it's kind of just like a cat that like can heal people, and it's like has a little cat collar, but it's also like a stethoscope. I don't know. But yeah, it's not a good, I might redesign it, but probably not. But also, every time I think of like what kind of colors would represent life, the three I always think of are this like pretty light green color. I don't know why. But then pink, because I don't know, like pink is like fairies and happy stuff or something. And I think white is pretty like explanatory, you know, like it's associated with like angels and also like hospitals and doctors, you know, that's where life begins and ends. So yeah. So thank you so much for watching this long ass video. It took forever making this. The death drawing alone literally took me 8 hours. What the fuck is wrong with me? Also, yes, I did say a long time ago that, oh, guess who's getting an OC lore video this week? And yeah, I know it took forever, but first off, I'm lazy. Second off, this ended up being a bit of a longer thing than I was expecting it to be, because I ended up talking about 2 OCs instead of 1, so yeah. I think this might be my longest, like, video that isn't, like, unlisted. or deleted from a long time ago, so yeah. Yeah, so I'm gonna be playing the bloopers. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye. So Death is basically responsible for every time someone dies in the dragon story I'm making. Yes, I've had this story since middle school, and I still haven't come up with an actual name for it. And I couldn't think of oh, never mind. People always hate the life. People always hate the perfect chaos design. Perfect chaos? What the fuck? Okay, people always hate the blah blah blah. This is going in bloopers.